We're back. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Market Movers here with Justin Perri. Justin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Mike. It's good to be back. It's been about 5 months. I think we sort of market movers just got a little too busy in
Too
July
busy.
of the summer. So we really haven't done this since the All-Star break. So definitely good to be back. Excited to be in college basketball season. Pretty interesting Wednesday slate we got here, but we're gonna talk about it. Maybe I don't know, maybe talk NBA quickly if you want to, but it's very exciting to be back on the airwaves doing some market movers.
It's so excited to be back, sharing the numbers with everybody here. I know a lot of people loved it during MLB. I know a few of the diehards were very upset when we stopped the stream. So welcome back, everyone, though. I will share some NBA. The first thing I got to talk about, really, though, is just like the COVID going around everywhere. We haven't seen the massive impact in college basketball yet. I guess my question for you is, do you think that we'll see that and we'll start to see that over the next few days? We're seeing it everywhere in the professional sports leagues, just NFL crazy, NBA crazy, NHL postponing games. Like, do you think we're going to see more of it in the college game over the next week or two?
I think it only makes sense to have it trickle down. It's going to definitely be a little difficult for these schools to not have it happen. We'll be ready for it. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, especially with NBA and NHL and NFL where you only have 30 teams, but college basketball will survive a little bit more. Maybe they might be a little more precautionary in terms of like canceling games ahead of time because it's like school students, but I don't know. We'll see. It could be very interesting. Hopefully we don't get too many cancellations.
Yeah. So what I'm worried about in college, and it might be, a month from now, basically, is basically students leaving, going home for holidays, coming back, things like that. That's when I would anticipate to see the major blow ups there. But all right, let's dive. You want to go NBA first? You want to go NCAA first? What are you thinking here? I know
Uh,
you're not running any NBA numbers currently. It's just going to be mine. But
I am not, but I can still talk about games. I still follow the league pretty intensely. So we could do NBA. I know it's a little bit smaller, so let's do that.
perfect. We will start with the NBA. I'm just going to start by throwing up my numbers here for the NBA, and you have to bear with us on the display issue here because I am not the jeweler from Sportsline. I do not have all the training and the capabilities of throwing that up in the right spot. So you'll get to look at some numbers and not our beautiful faces here.
They'll
The
survive.
first
They'll
thing,
survive.
if you want these numbers every day, by the way, we do share them in the Discord server. It is free to subscribe if you have Amazon Prime. Head over to Twitch, subscribe to the channel, link it up. You can jump in there. Highly recommend it. It's not replacing Sportsline in any way. It is totally a supplemental piece. It really lets you take a step further, dive a little deeper, and then have access to everyone 24 hours a day, basically. So the first thing that I want to talk about, though, in the NBA is the most important thing in the NBA is travel and rest. Like, we want to focus a lot on travel and rest situations. And then today, of course, it's going to be the COVID situations. Right off the top, we already know Giannis is already out for the Bucks. Chris Middleton, questionable. Drew Holiday, questionable. Drew Holiday is questionable for conditioning, for returning from everything. But there's a lot of news to follow. It looks like Dwight Howard in health and safety protocols, Malik Monk in health and safety protocols. Tyler Hero was just ruled out for the Heat. So it's a lot like the NBA, or a lot like the NFL right now. A ton of injuries to be concerned with. But let's take this. I actually just ran this because I was waiting. I haven't placed any NBA bets tonight. So I'm going to be looking at the market and where prices sit currently. One thing that stands out right away for me is the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks on DraftKings right now are sitting -8. They're -7.5 in a few of the other books. My number here, 9.4. That's pretty friendly. And then I think we have a few unders. I know a lot of people in Discord. I don't know. Have you been following anyone in the Discord chat on the NBA, Justin?
Not really. I mean, for me, it's pretty hardcore college basketball, but I do know that they're pretty active in there.
Yep. All right. Well, let me look at a couple of these smaller, I guess, just not even smaller, just edges out there. One of them here is going to look like the Denver Nuggets. Looks like that game's sitting 223.5 in the market right now. I've got the sim number all the way down to 219.3. That's a pretty considerable edge on an under here in the NBA. Other totals. Looks like the Memphis Grizzlies Portland Trailblazers game. That one's interesting. The model likes the Portland Trailblazers despite being on the third game in 4 days and the second leg of a back-to-back after the overtime last night. A lot of it is having to do with Memphis has been so banged up, and then Portland is welcoming back Damian Lillard at this point. So you have to watch. There's a chance he could sit on the second night of a back-to-back, but as of right now, I got everyone in there. So that's one thing to look at. Let's see if there are any interesting, with your limited following of the NBA, anything stand out here to you?
I mean, I think what I'd probably consider is, obviously this Houston-Cleveland game is pretty interesting because you have teams that, everyone's been on Cleveland for, I don't know, all year. They're betting darlings this year, right? Everyone sort of loves them. They've been doing very well against the spread, 22-7 against the spread this year. I think probably going to be getting a little too much love against the Rockets if I had to guess on how this is going. And the Rockets are 9-1 against the spread in their last 10. So these two teams, this is a very interesting matchup because these two teams have suffered one loss against the spread combined in their last 20 games. So this is going to be an interesting one. My guess is that you're probably getting a little bit too much value on Houston, probably where the market's going to lean, and like the money seems to represent that. But then also it looks like Cleveland's still the sharp side. So that's going to be a really interesting one. I mean, I know if we're looking at your numbers, you make it right there at 10. You're getting 8.5. So you actually like the Cavs a little bit by 1.5. I mean, what do you think there? Is that a fair assessment? Do you think that number is a little big, or where are you at with that?
I think that it's one where it'll show a little edge with having 10, but it's probably not what I would be interested in taking. I would be more interested in taking the small edge on the total here. I actually kind of like the over in this one. The Cavs, they're one of the slower teams, but they're approaching a middling pace, definitely in the bottom third. But the Houston Rockets lead the NBA in pace of play. And when they've been playing a little better, you give this Cavs team a little bit of a boost in pace of play. Right. I do like it. I think that it's an over-exaggerated situation really for them. Houston's not a great team defensively, one of the worst, in fact. But so I'm showing a similar edge on the spread and on the total, but I would be more inclined to invest in the one on the total when this one's under 220. So I know it's a big number for Cleveland. We've routinely seen them put up 95 to 100 points, but I love the increase in pace of play there for them.
Are Mobley and Christian Wood going to play tonight, though? I mean, I know they're both questionable. That's probably going to impact that total. I might want to wait on that, right?
Yeah, in that spot too, I actually think that if those players are ruled out, we kind of saw it a little bit with Brooklyn last night. The thinner some of these rotations get, those players are actually better and have a bigger impact defensively than offensively. It sounds weird to say that. They're obviously great offensive players, but their impact is greater on the defensive end typically. So we see these totals kind of balloon in some of these spots. So I would lean towards the over there, but there's a number of questionable players across the league, plus all of the COVID stuff. So I see some guys from the Discord in here came away with 4 unders. Yeah, typically you're going to come away with a lot of unders. That's typically where the model edges are going to be in most of the cases here. So the bigger ones that I like would be Denver, Minnesota. Pretty good. That number I believe is 220 in the market. I like that one. The other one I could see getting to is Indiana, Milwaukee with Giannis out and Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton questionable. If one of those two sits, it does impact the offensive efficiency on that side pretty significantly. So that is one there. Other than that, I don't have a lot to talk about here other than I'm fascinated by the Hornets and Spurs, two teams that I've liked that have covered some nice spreads for me in isolated spots. But other than that, I think it's time to move to college basketball unless anyone has any questions in the chat on the NBA. I guess only other thing to mention with Tyler Hero getting ruled out for Miami, Joel Embiid and Seth Curry are both questionable for the 76ers. Embiid did go through shoot around. I think he probably plays, but something to monitor for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Injuries are just the name of the game right now in NBA. And, hopefully it doesn't trickle too much into college basketball. It might. Yeah. And we'll have, if that does happen, we're going to be in a little bit, of hot water because it's a lot harder to know about the next man up.
Right.
it's but it's it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Again, we'll talk college basketball now. Mike, why don't you, what happens if you do this?
I don't know. I'll let you control that. I don't know how to run the I'm not the producer here. I'm not the jeweler.
Yeah, no, who is?
Yeah,
I don't think any of us are.
but anyway, we'll
This
start by basically saying these are my college basketball numbers.
Yeah.
I maintain a separate model from Justin. I maintain a separate model from the Sportsline model. So if there is any confusion so some of you that might be new, just have very different numbers, very different stances on some of these games. These are just my numbers, which again are shared on the Discord server if you want to get access to them every day. If you're on Discord, you'll notice a few small changes. I did rerun a few things from the overnight when I shared these last night, but
Mike,
this is where we're at.
Why don't you pull your overlay down? Let me see how this looks. I don't know if they can see that, but that's your book. That's currently what you're showing. And I
kind of. You don't have the exact updated numbers.
Oh, you've updated them a little bit?
Yeah.
Do you want to send me the most recent one so we can just do it this way?
Yeah, we'll probably do it for tomorrow. I'm gonna pull up the just with the overlay for now.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. And I'll just keep us here because this works decently. All right, so yeah.
Beautiful. All right, I'll start with the first game on the list. And the way I sort these is kind of different. So it's not sorted by spread, not sorted by start time, sorted by some of the games that I was interested in, had my eye on, things like that. I typically put them closer to the top, as I like people to look at those. So first one for me was Utah State -2.5 is what I played today. I actually gave this one out on the Sportsline Early Edge this morning. This one is interesting. This Utah State team has been actually really good away from home. They've been good on neutral sites. They've been good away from home. I was a little shocked that this number didn't open closer to where my station is here at -4.2. I know some of the other models out there have a much bigger edge on it than I do even. I believe what is the Sportsline model? I'll go ahead and pull that up and look at that one since we've talked about this game. Man, I wanted to say that one was like closer to 8 or 9 in the Sportsline.
Yeah, this one was 11. All over the place.
Yeah,
a lot of variance. I saw a couple systems even having Weber kind of even closer, which is why I didn't get a play from me. But yeah, no, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. I understand why you're going with Utah State. Interestingly enough, sharp money is going to be on the other side here, but I haven't been paying much attention to sharp money in college basketball, like the signals with Action App and everything. It doesn't, get me feeling like it's a great way to just bet. But Weber's 9-1. I mean, they definitely are going to come into this game expecting to win. But we'll see how it goes. They've had I don't know how their schedule quality isn't that great though. Like they finally faced a good opponent last game in Washington State and they got beat by 34. So
yeah, absolutely embarrassed by Washington State. And frankly, I don't think Washington State is like a juggernaut by any means. I was very concerned with that. Very concerned with that. 7.5 point spread got absolutely ran out of the gym in that one. And Utah State's been so strong on the road. So I like it. Again, I don't have anywhere near the 11 that Sportsline does or some of the others. My number's at 4.2. I really expected this one to basically settle in at 4. It hasn't yet. We've seen a little bit, it's juiced up to -115 on the 2.5 now, but I think this one's going to close between 2 and 3. It doesn't seem to be moving closer to the 4 that I was expecting here. So a little interesting on that. Definitely something to note. And I will say the sharp signals like you're talking about on Action, I definitely think you need to be very, very careful using those. Just because they're not coming from like market making books in a sense. Like they're not coming from like the sharpest sports books in the world. They're essentially coming from bettors who are tracking bets through the platform that are showing a winning record, doing it that way. Which, it's not the worst thing. It's still useful information at times, but it's certainly not.
It's not representative of like a book's handle or something,
Correct.
They say that they get the sharp signals from different books, but at the same time, it's like it's not worth fully following because some of these games have such small handles. Like, how many thousands of dollars are really bet on Chicago State at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, like as tilting, or that was Monday, as tilting as that game was.
We represented a pretty significant percentage of the action on the game.
Yeah, and we saw that our whole group on Chicago State, it moved it. But we have a request. Can we share the Discord channel information? Yeah, we can share the Discord channel information. So the easiest way for anybody else, the easiest way is just to go through Mike's bio on Twitter. He has all his links there. That's how I found it back in the day. It is actually, I think it's kind of funny, we're about a week away from when I first started posting pics in Mike's Discord. I think it was like December 21st, the first day of that Rollcons picks channel. So shout out to the Discord. Definitely a good place to be, just chatting with a lot of other people who just want to talk about betting in this style, which is what's really, really interesting, right? Like everyone who wants to come and chat, understands the legitimacy of modeling and why we're doing it and why we all approach betting like this. So if you want to, learn more and be in there and ask questions, you never know. I was just a random Discord member back in the day.
That's true. Anyway, it's been a wild year between that and NBA Top Shot. I know a lot of people did really well in the server because of that. It was
if they listen to people who were saying to sell when it was high. But anyway, before we know it, this is gonna be like a half Web3 show. But all right, another interesting game. Again, like you said, you rank the first few. South Dakota State, I know you actually took today as the underdog play. This is a very interesting one. I definitely lean that way.
That one's, look, South Dakota State, the market's settled right on the sim number now at this point. I was able to grab them at +4 for the underdog on Sportsline, but basically just drastic difference in style of play, right? So South Dakota State's going to play with a lot more pace than Missouri State, and I don't really give Missouri State a big rebounding edge or really much of an edge at all here. So it's going to come down to, can they shoot well from the perimeter? If they don't, they're going to get beat outright. If they do shoot well from the perimeter, I still think that they keep it close, but they do not really attack the basket very well. They don't get to the free throw line. It's going to help keep South Dakota State in the game for sure. So at +4, I think it's a great play. And, 3.5 is basically where the sim number is. Not a lot of dogs that I like today, to be honest with you. So
it's a tough day. From what I ran, I think there's about 30 something games today. It's a sharp day. Like my system didn't have a single spread that it liked. I mean, it was close on a couple, but I never forced anything, but it was close. And it almost like this next game here, which you have, which is USC. It did like this. USC is a hot team playing at home. This is, if I was going to sort of be forced to take a spread play today, this is one that I would definitely look at. Last, I believe it was at 10. I'm not sure if it's still there. I'm going to check right now. I got to now it's at 11.5.
11.5 now. It's basically, it's moving very close. I would expect it to close almost identical to where my sim number is on that one.
Yeah. I still like it. This USC team is a good team. I think these strong, successful, like power ranked teams are going to do well at home. This is still kind of like a little bit of a battle. Irvine is a bit of a rival here. So don't expect it to be too lightly contested, but USC should be able to run it up a bit.
Yep. Let's see. What was I going to... Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to play it still, it's definitely the one that I would lean on. Like, out of all the games here, if the team's going to go out there and win by 20, cover the spread easily, it's definitely USC, in my opinion. But I was a little cautious with it.
LSU yesterday, just obvious. Yeah. This doesn't feel as obvious, but they should be able to get to like 15.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably an oversight on my spot. If it was sitting at 10, 9.5, 10, I definitely should have been on it with a sim number of 12.4 here. But at 11.5, I'll stay away. If you absolutely have to force a play, I think it's fine to force it there. I'm pretty
Agreed.
confident the market's going to close it at 12, 12.5 anyway. So UC San Diego and Denver minus 4.3 is my sim number on this one. Let's see where the market has it currently. Minus 4.5 for UC San Diego. Looks like I have an edge on the over here. I think the market is currently 133.5. I'm pulling up 140 in this one. Do you have any? I'm sure you didn't. Obviously, you don't have many plays today. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
This is a rough one, and I mean these are bottom of the barrel teams. UC San
They are.
Diego is going to come in at 250, and then Denver's 330 on most rankings. You're talking pretty bottom of the barrel. I would probably take the points in that type of game. I don't think this is Denver's at home. Is right. Denver's at home. This shouldn't be. I think they could probably have a chance to win it. So I would definitely lean points. I mean, I always lean points.
Sure.
That's kind of where I am this year in college basketball. We do the under and the dog, but both those style, if you're gonna default to a play, especially in college basketball, especially in a wider market like this where you have a 40 game day, you're going to find that, underdogs likely are going to win more often on the default. Same with unders, just because books shade towards the favorite plays, which is going to be overs and favorites. So, definitely feel like this should be 3.5 for UC San Diego on the road. But yeah,
I agree with you. I would lead towards Denver. The other thing to consider there too is home dog getting points at altitude. Definitely has an impact. So
yeah,
that's where I would lean. But my stronger lean on it is the total. I actually do kind of like the total. There are different numbers out there in the market. If you can get anything under 133, I do kind of like the over quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, what's the line there? 120, 134 ish.
Yeah, it's 133.5 currently on DraftKings. I think some other books are showing a little bit lower than that.
That's probably
I
pretty
lean
sharp.
over.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, I guess, especially if this is a close game. If you're looking at the over, I'd go full game over. The first half under doesn't seem like a terrible play, though. This could be one of those games where these teams just start off very slow, pick it up in the second half. Fouls come into play in the second half. Free throws come into play in the second half. It just feels like it's
I was 130.5 last night. So that's super validating for me to see. The hilarious part is I released these numbers last night and I didn't go bet it. But I did release the number here at 140.1 with a 130.5 line last night, and I totally missed it. But we got people in the chat that are taking care of that for me. So good for you on getting that one. So
that's why you got to be in the Discord, because the people in the Discord run Mike Sims tighter than he does. You want to know where the edges are, you got to be in the Discord because we find them out there.
So
next game, is
UCF Temple. You're on this one.
Yeah, excuse me. This is the only game I really found some action on. I mean, again, I could choose a side in every game if I had to. Some of them would be a little tough, but these are just some of these games are so tightly priced today. It's just they did a good job, which again isn't a bad thing. You just got to be like, all right, well, I'm staying off today. Sometimes 0-0 is better than 1-1, right? So, it's an important thing to be able to say no. But yeah, I like this one to go over. I just think UCF usually gets into more of an offensive outscoring mindset. They don't have good interior defense. Temple should be able to score at home if they're running their sets properly. I think this one stays close. I think this is going to be a good amount of turnovers in this game. Hopefully Temple can cash in off of the points off the turnovers. UCF is pretty reckless with the ball. So, we'll see how it goes. I felt like this one at 136 today was just a little low. I have it right at 138, pretty much agreeing with Mike's model. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I think again, my what really got me here was that UCF has gone way over every time they're on the road. It's not like close. It's not like 2 points. It's like 10, 25 points. Like these are solid wins on the over. So yeah.
Yep. I mean, I'm in agreement there. I think what's the number 135 still in the market. I'm up to 138.9. So total agreement there. Next game, UCLA, Alabama State. And you're probably wondering why that game is so high up in terms of like why I'm interested in it. And I'll tell you why I'm interested in it. It's obviously a massive spread and one where you might be inclined to take the points with the dog in this spot. Massive difference in pace of play. This Alabama State plays with like a top 10 to top 15 pace. That's not good when you're the worst team, like by a considerable margin. You speed this UCLA team up. They're going to have a lot of fun out there. It's one of those spots where they obviously are going to win the game. They're obviously going to blow them out. But I'm very interested to see how this works because UCLA likes to play with a pretty slow pace, right? They like to play a little more controlled game. But against a much worse opponent that loves to run, they just absolutely love to run, it could get very ugly. So what I would be looking at here is I would be looking at some of the first half spreads, if you can find them. I think that it could be a spot where UCLA jumps out to a massive early lead and just kind of gives up late. So that's where I'm inclined to look, but I put it up high because I wanted to talk about how massive, like usually these bad teams like Alabama State, I mean, they're not a great team by any means, but they're pretty bad, right?
Yeah. When
they're playing with such a pace in this spot, it creates such a high variance atmosphere. So likely to stay away for out there, but I do think it's interesting to watch it and monitor, what happens in the first half, because I think that it could get very ugly very quickly. And then UCLA could basically only play most of their guys 27, 28 minutes.
Yeah. I think first half is the right way to target this thing. They need 20. It needs to be 20 points. They're getting 20 right now in the first half. But I mean, it could legitimately be 33-8. Going into the break, like 8. It probably won't be 8, but it'll probably be like 40. Probably be like, all right, let's take a guess. I'm gonna say 42 to 17. 42-17 is my first half projection for that game. That would be right there. Yeah, that's right there at. They have it. They're gonna call it, I believe, 45-25 is what's projected right now. So we'll see. I think that's probably pretty fair. I don't hate the under, honestly, in the first half either, because Alabama State might not get enough points. They 25, they might not get there. That's what they're asking for Alabama
just
State.
Subbed. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube, it's the easiest way. The schedule is going to be Wednesdays and Fridays at noon as of right now. Pretty subject to change, but we should be pretty consistent with it. We'll just, be talking about the different slates. It's going to be interesting because neither of those days are like huge days. But what'll be great will be when day games start coming back. We'll definitely dive into those day games before they start. And I think that is sort of starting to pick up at the end of this week. We're going to start getting into the holiday season, college basketball day games almost daily. So that'll be fun. But all right, next game. And pardon me as I sneeze.
Ohio and Marshall. This one is pretty fascinating to me. I actually have a pretty big edge on it now at this point where the market is. So I believe this one's
moving today, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's been on the move. I just totally missed it. So drastically different on the models out there, and then another big contrast in pace of play and style of play. So,
this is sort of gotten itself driven into a play, right? I mean, 3.5 on Ohio. Man, I see like Haslam has this as a 10-point game. I mean, Marshall is the second slowest team in the nation. That's pretty crazy. So clearly the market thinks that they're going to do a decent job slowing this game down, and that the spread is therefore too big, and it fell. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know.
You're reading that backwards, by the way.
Am I?
Marshall is the second fastest team.
Oh, I am reading that backwards. I am.
Yeah, they love.
Thank you.
They love.
Those are bunnies, not turtles. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no. They play with the big pace, but I think they're the worst team. It's not as pronounced as the UCLA thing, but they're the worst team in my opinion. They're on the road in Ohio, so it is one that the market has basically moved it into a play territory. So you always have to be a little cautious with those situations. But once this thing goes under 4, which is currently 3.5, I'm going to trust the model here and play Ohio. I actually like the fact that I'm not as aggressive on it as some of the other models. Some of them have this thing all the way up to 10. I like that my number falls in here -7. I think that it's probably more appropriate. I need to see where this game actually opened, because I don't believe this thing opened at 3.5 or 4 where it's at right now. Yeah, it's okay, which is why I would not have had a play on it at 7.2 at that point. I'll go ahead and play it. I'll play Ohio -3.5.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think it's been very successful this year, fading steam. The market usually does not know what the heck it's doing. And the models are more normally correct than the market. So yeah, 3.5.
I'm actually taking it at 4. I'm going to take it at 4 at +100 even money here on DraftKings. You can't see over here. I've got a different screen, but I'm actually going to put that play in right now while we're on stream. I'm going to play Ohio -4 +100 on DraftKings tonight.
I'm taking the 3.5 because if it comes in at 4, I want that win. But yeah, this might end up on Sportsline for me. It's just too much movement, right? The model, the public can be wrong very often. The market can move in the wrong way, and the model's more likely to be right like 9 times out of 10, and sort of how we approach it. We trust those numbers. I think I'd probably make this closer to like 6. At 6.5, right? So now you're probably getting about like a 3-point edge, which is sizable. And usually, like if it just barely gets into a play range in terms of the edge size based on the movement, I actually leave it alone a little bit. But like when it really gets there, like when it crosses a 3-point, 3.5, 4-point threshold of edge due to market movement, I'm usually like, all right, I'm going to take the other side, because I mean, look, if chasing steam was an easy way to bet, we'd all just make a lot of money. But you can't just take steam. And I don't know. This Ohio team is projected to be an auto bid winner, or like might get an auto bid. Like they're top 50 in some rankings. So I think they can run away with this. I mean, yeah, Ken Pop has them ranked very close to Marshall, but I don't agree.
I mean, I agree that they can be rated similarly here, but I'm going to trust the edge at 7.2, especially when they're playing at home here. So look, I think it's a game they obviously care about. I do expect it to be tight, but anytime we get this one back to under 2 full possessions, I'm into it. So yeah,
very into it. All right. Yeah, that's a good find. I'm shocked about that one.
Yeah, Winthrop. I don't have a lot to say about this game. I'm pretty much on market with it. -4.5 or -4.4 was my sim number. It's currently sitting -4 in the market. Where's the total? 150, 1.6. It's 152. Yeah, I'm just dead on market on that one.
I think here's where I'll go. My guess. Not a guess, my educated guess, because whatever. I am an expert in everything in college basketball, but no. What I think probably happens is the Elon covers and this one goes over. I think that Elon's probably getting a little bit too much here. Winthrop has not been great as the favorite. They have yet to cover as a favorite. Elon's looking for a strong performance at home. I just wouldn't be shocked to see Elon win a home game. I just wouldn't. I know Winthrop has done decently against some teams, but again, in this favorite spot, I don't think that they should be road favorites. I feel like this is probably a pick 'em. So I definitely lean Elon. I don't think it's a model play. 4 is probably the right number to give out. in terms of the distribution and how the results are most likely to come in. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see this score get run up a little bit. Winthrop does kind of move quickly. Elon's going to respond. But I definitely like the Elon side. I like a home dog way more than I'm going to like the over. Could see Elon trying to like shut down Winthrop. So Elon's probably my favorite play on that game.
All right, next one. I know Max, I think, likes, or someone else in the chat liked this one. Fairfield, Fairleigh Dickinson. It says I should have a play on Fairleigh Dickinson. I have them at plus 6.3. I do not feel great about it. The market's up to 9 on that. They're not a good team. I understand why the computer likes it this way. Yes. Fairfield 8-1, 6-0 is a favorite. Like or 6-0 on the road, I believe. But like, I'm not getting there. The computer says that I should be on Fairleigh Dickinson. It's one that I will acknowledge what the computer says, but I'm definitely not eager to invest in this.
Yeah, this is a rare occurrence where teams are next to each other in the alphabetical listing in college basketball. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson's a bad team. Like they're just a bad team. They're like bottom tier, haven't played anybody good, haven't won any, like, well, maybe they played some decent teams, but they haven't played anyone good in like a good game. Like they haven't put together a good performance against any good teams.
Yeah.
Fairfield's a little iffy too. I don't think you can take this one. I don't think you want to bet on this game. Fairfield should have an easier time on offense. Maybe if anything, you want to take a team total on Fairfield. That really seems like the only place where I would find any value, because Fairfield should get their points. It's just, are they going to be able to limit Fairleigh Dickinson to cover? So that's how I see that one going.
See, I don't know that I even trust my own model on this team. Basically, what you've seen that I'm basically saying that I don't feel good about it at all. My total number is way off here, like not even close. 133.5, I think, in the market. I'm up to 145. Makes sense with Fairfield kind of running away with the game, I guess. But I don't like it. I don't.
Max is on it. That's interesting. Max.
I don't play Fairleigh Dickinson games, so not happening.
Yeah.
Next one's kind of the same thing. Gardner Webb, North Carolina Central. Look, it's a big number. Teams at home, 7.5 point dog for North Carolina Central against Gardner Webb. Model says I should probably be leaning towards NC Central now. Make them just 5.5 point dogs. The market is at 7.5. Makes a little bit of sense. Like, I'm not going to pretend that either one of these teams is a public team, but Gardner Webb is one you've heard of more than North Carolina Central. So I would guess my model's probably closer than the, more appropriate number than the market number, but I'm not eager to grab the 2 points of edge with North Carolina Central unless you can talk me into it for some reason.
I don't think I can. I don't think I want to. I do think this is NC Central's first home game. And it'll be interesting to see how they do.
It's not a home game for them.
Is that what it is? It's a neutral site.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. They're listing it as a home game. That's just Action App. I didn't notice that. Okay, that changes things a little bit. I don't know. I think this is probably just a pass.
Oh yeah, it's a total pass for me. Like I said, if you want to blindly follow the model, you're getting a little edge to take the dog, but it's not overly exciting to me in any way.
NC Central is just bad, man. Like they're just man. They're literally they're shooting under 50% close to the basket.
Yep.
It's bad. Their 3-point percentage as a team is 22.5 this year.
Yeah, let's we're gonna skip ahead on a few of these just because I don't think we're gonna.
We're gonna lose our minds talking about every game if we.
The numbers have been up there. If you're on Discord, you can download the file. You can play with them. You can do whatever you want. If you have questions, obviously drop them in the chat. I've seen some questions on Belmont. That is one that I would like to talk about. Chattanooga Belmont is fascinating to me. The price points in the various models are just drastically different.
Yes, this one's
Just
all over the place.
all over the place. So, starting like basically like my model, right? So on this game, I've one of my final numbers up here to 9.8. That's going to represent a playable edge in the
Yeah.
market. This game gotten betting all the way down to 5.5. One that I'm going to strongly consider taking, to be honest with you. Other models have Chattanooga favored by like 7 points, 6 points. We're talking like 15 to 18 point range on some of these. Absolutely crazy to see that. So I'm very curious if you have any thoughts on it, because I certainly do. Chattanooga plays with
It's
like
an
the
interesting
slowest
one.
pace in college basketball. Like they
Yeah.
are 346 out of 358 teams. I don't think they're the better team though. And I'm not sure that if they're, I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts on it. But at -5.5, it's almost like that Ohio play. I'm almost going to
Yes.
have to end up on Belmont here.
Yeah. No, I mean it's getting there. I think there's definitely going to be some action on Chattanooga. They are
I mean, they're
solid.
playing well so far this season. Yeah,
Right.
they're having a great year. But
Chattanooga is playing very well on the offensive boards. They're keeping the ball pretty clean. They're not high in turnover percent. And here's what's interesting though. Chattanooga's defense isn't good at rebounding the ball. So for whatever reason, they're better at offensive rebounding than they are at defensive rebounding, which doesn't usually make much sense. But it's going to be interesting. I think that at the end of the day, these are both decently effective offenses who, do take care of the ball pretty well. Neither is going to be a rim protecting type team. So it's just really going to come down to who can get more effective shots. What I'm seeing, if we go reference our buddy, shot quality loves Belmont, has this game at 11.5 for Belmont, 83% win chance. So,
and like I said, I'm basically right there at 9.8 in mine.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about it is you go look at the quality of opponents and everything too. Like Chattanooga played VCU. They won by 2 as 3.5 point dog. That's a good win. They played Tennessee Tech, Lipscomb, UNC Asheville, Charleston. Like, head over to the Belmont side. They played Lipscomb. They played Dayton, Drake, LSU, St. Louis on the road. They just beat St. Louis on the road as 2.5 point dogs.
I like that
But the
St. Louis
most
team too. So
well, yeah. But what I want to talk about mostly here, though, is like where the market is valued.
Oh,
Chief, enough.
he just really likes Chattanooga.
So, but we got to talk about how they've been valued by the market, though. You look at LSU; they were only +6 underdogs heading into that game against LSU. Against Drake, they were 3.5 dog. They were -3 against Dayton. They're right there with a lot of these other teams. So, I think my number 9 and 8. He's not feeling it right now. But my number -9.8. I'm going to sit and wait this one. There's not a massive difference for me at 5.5 for 6 if it ticks the other way. People are very clearly investing on Chattanooga.
Chief does
and I'm
not like this pick. So yeah, Chief says no to Belmont. And then we're gonna see, if Chief gets it right, we'll have to take him a little more seriously next time. But I've gotten a lot of questions about this Akron Wright State game, so maybe we chat about that one before we dip off. I know we're not trying to go on for too long. I think 45 minutes is probably where we'll try to keep the show length usually, unless there's huge, a lot we want to talk about. But like we said, today's slate's a little iffy. What do you make of Wright State? They've been having trouble covering all season. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, they've had trouble covering all season. Look, we've talked about your dog has my dog barking now. It's great. Another one, massive difference in pace of play. Wright State is one of the faster teams here. My number is certainly up there. At -4, it's one where you'd probably have a lean that way. I like them at home. I think it's time that they start covering. I'm not personally taking Akron. I'll take your thoughts on it, but I I'm going to continue to go with Wright State, as I think that they're the better team here, and they should be winning and covering these games.
Yeah, probably should. I think I stay off. This is a big stay off. I mean, this one's right there for me. There's not too much of an edge. This was me all night last night or this morning. Actually, I read numbers this morning, but literally, another one without an edge. Oh, another one without an edge. Oh, that's too close. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's right there. Like all morning, because they're all right there. There aren't a huge amount of edges today. I do think there's a chance that Akron does it, and that's just exactly why you got to stay off. I mean, the feeling is Wright State, but they've had trouble covering. They haven't looked as dominant as they have in years past. So, I don't know. Akron. I don't know. I haven't actually watched a lot of the Zips this season, so they might be playing worse than I think. They might be playing better than I think. I mean,
look, I think you're just buying low on Wright State, frankly. Based on where the market has had them valued, they should probably be -6 in this game. So I'm going to continue to buy low on them here. They're at home, 1-6 straight up, 1-6 against the spread. That tells you that they obviously have just not been performing the way that the market has expected them to. So should be a depressed price point. Now they get to come home. So I don't think this is their first home game of the season, right?
I think it might be.
I believe so. Yeah. So I'll take Wright State. I'm not going to play it. The model says I probably should be. It's very clear. Just stay away.
They've had one home game.
But have they?
Yeah, they played at home against James Madison, and they lost by 2. The line was 1.5 favored for James Madison. But James Madison's looked good this year, honestly. I've been impressed with James Madison this season. So, when that happens and it's close, it's not really bad, right? They lost by the hook. What are you going to do? That means the line was tight. Go ahead. What, we want to do one more?
So we'll hit one more before we head out, because I've seen a lot of questions on it, and I do want your take on it. Xavier game. Pretty big spread.
This is
seeing a lot of questions. I've seen a lot of questions about Xavier. Market has them -15 at -105, indicating we could see a 14.5 on Xavier at some point. Like my number's up to 17.5 and dead on the total. Essentially, it's at 134-ish in the market. I'm at 133.5. Did you have any strong take on the Xavier team in general?
I mean, if this keeps coming down, I think it's one that I'd want to play. I think 16, 17, 18 is where I see the range. If you can get 14.5, I think it's probably a decent edge. I think I was making it around 17.5 last night. So I'm like right there. I'm right there. I think this could be a play, but again, like I said, I usually look for about 2.5 points. That's what I've been successful at in terms of finding the edge size that works for my system and how I calculate my picks. But when you get a game just moving in to that range, it's moved down a point. It was 16, it's 15 now, and I made it 17.5. I'm not going to run to play it right when it gets there. I'd honestly like to see that move to 14.5 and get that better number and try to win it right at 15. Which is probably, my guess is that's probably right where it comes in, 15 or 16 points tonight. I lean Xavier.
Yeah, I will lean Xavier. I think we do see 14.5, and it might last for a half hour, and then it probably by game time will be back to 15.5 where it closes. So I will say Xavier, I mean, they're a good team. They look great, and you're paying a premium for them right now. Like they, if they regress in any way, you're certainly paying an inflated price at this point. I believe they've covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
8-1 at home too.
8. Yeah, they've covered 8 of their last 9. Their one loss where they didn't cover the spread, they were -9 against Iowa State. At least
5 straight though. They're on a roll. If you're someone who likes to bet on hot teams, this Xavier team again, it dropped the first game of the season, which it didn't drop it, but it was a 3-point win over Niagara on a +17 line. So I don't usually put much stock into that first game. I try to ignore it because it's usually just first game of the year jitters. But yeah, they've done well against everybody else. The only other game they didn't cover, they got beat by Iowa State, who was just at the time very undervalued in the market. So not going to be upset about that loss for them, especially because I was at home. Like Xavier was the favorites on the road there, which they just shouldn't be. Iowa State's been playing really well. So this team has covered basically every game since its first game, except for like a huge mispricing on Iowa State. And I don't think that we're going to come back to this one and say, oh yeah, that was a huge mispricing on Moorhead. Like my guess is Xavier gets this one done.
Yep. I'm not playing it again. Computer minus 17.5, but if it gets to 14.5, I would start to consider, but betting into things that move against you like that is typically not going to be a winning strategy. So one that I would generally caution against, especially when you're talking about big numbers like that. So, because it is still a big number to cover. So I'm going to stay away from it. I do think Xavier's good. Just understand you're paying the inflated price for it. So, all right, I think that is going to do it for today. Again, join us over on Discord. Subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live again. We're back when Friday?
Yeah, we'll be here Friday at noon. We'll do it again.
Friday at noon.
Thanks,
all right.
Thanks for everyone tuning in for the first episode back. Lots more to come.